Here around this face, I humbly want to make references of a film or a lecture one Ethiopian lady is making. You will see it soon, and her address to African authorities.
Russian President Putin says Africa is a cemetery for Africans. Before you form an opinion, first let me read you the whole quote of what he said. Putin says, quote, Africa will never be independent. Africans believe in Europeans, Americans, Chinese more than themselves. They don't trust themselves at all. A white man will commit crime in Africa, but no action will be taken because Africa authorities view us as semi-gods. Far from the truth, a black man can be abducted in Europe, get harassed, or even killed, but no African authority will question. Africans present themselves as weak people with no hope, especially when dealing with Europeans and Americans. They are their own enemies. They hate each other, and that gives their colonial masters power to continue exploiting African resources. When an African becomes rich, his bank accounts are in Switzerland. He travels to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai. He consumes Chinese. He prays in Rome and Mecca. His children stay in Europe. He travels to Canada, USA, Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native country of Africa. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How could a cemetery be developed? Putin asks.
From north to the south, east to the west. And when you understand what the lady is saying, you know exactly the mistakes you are making. It is here. Have you ever seen a tree without roots? So, for how long will you continue to hang in the air and practice somebody's culture that you will be you? How long? How long? If you got up and because you went for the money from that person, the person is going to condition you to live according to him. As if it has not been enough, we practicing European culture and have practiced it beyond the point of no limit. At the same time, you come to have Chinese people take hold in our culture. And I was in Ghana last December. In my own ears, I heard Nanado saying, Ghanaians have received $500,000 from our brothers, the Chinese. So we should say thank you. And then they are building vocational schools and technical schools for us. So we should learn from them.
Africa is a promising continent with the highest proportion of young people in the world. How to provide education and job opportunities for them, a big priority for leaders from the continent. The country of Ghana has been a pioneer of ideas and actions in this regard, even cooperating with global entrepreneurs like the Alibaba founder, Jack Ma. On the Swiss mountaintop, I had a discussion with Ghanaian President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He told me about how he has been improvising inspirations coming from China. Take a listen.
The biggest issue for our country, and indeed for the continent of Africa, is finding work for our young people. As you know, Africa is the youngest continent on the world in terms of its population. So the solution cannot just be public sector work. It has to be private sector development, and that means entrepreneurship. So we're putting a lot of emphasis in encouraging young people to become entrepreneurs so that they can work for themselves and create jobs for others. That's how Jack Ma came to Ghana. I met him in China when I was in Beijing for the FOCA, and we agreed that he would come to Ghana to help us develop ideas for entrepreneurship. And true enough, he lived up to his word. He came, and last, I think it was November, we had this Netpreneur competition.
That's right.
Ghana, which he put together. Very successful and very, very encouraging, especially people having access to a man like that who has done so much to promote all kinds of industries, new businesses in the world. That if he could do it, it's possible that other people can do it.
In Ghana, thousands of Chinese miners are involved in an illegal gold rush that's stripping the country of a precious resource. It's destroying farmland and wrecking livelihoods.
They have destroyed my future now.
It's devastating the environment. A toxic mix of money and weapons is leading to resentment and violence.
And
the government admits the problem is out of control.
Nanado, please, for Christ's sake, these are your Chinese. What should we learn from them? In the first place, the Chinese are a pollution for our world. This is a fact we all know. They are cheap products, be it technical or whatever, ends up in the drainage because they have no quality. Before I will use my money to buy made in China, I'll buy made in Kantamanto. And I'll buy made in Kumasi. Yes. Did we give the same opportunity to that African child as an engineer and he couldn't make it? Did we give the same opportunity to that African fashion designer and supported him to design it to suit the global market and he couldn't make it? Do you know the number of genius Ghanaian engineers who have come out with wonderful products and they are nowhere to be heard of, nowhere to be seen? Okay? Name a few. Mr. Hammer, Frank Darko, Mr. Blankson, they are all genius engineers who have designed machines, from Frank Darko's floating bicycle, Mr. Hammer's wonderful, wonderful equipment for all kind of oil processing, etc. And then you have Mr. Blankson design stuff for cocoa processing, cocoa pod processing, etc., etc. Who has heard the name of any of these ones? Had the Chinese not got the support, would he be where he is? And if one person having that ability did not get help, will China be what it is? I have a message for you. I have a message for you, that authority. And this one, I'm not talking to Nana Addo Dankwa alone. I'm talking to every single adult in that country, Ghana. Me and me and again me. Me and my big house, me and my big car, me and my big money. That was yesterday. Today, you leave, that's why I leave. Today, she leaves, that's why we leave. So together, we are strong. Europe is one, America is one. China has been one to come and dominate us again. And they parcel it flamboyantly and call it help. If one could sit down and calculate things systematically, you ask yourself, so if somebody got into my forest and digged out my gold, polluted my air, polluted my water, and took all the gold to his country, Chinese people are like ants. They are like the red letter ants. When one comes there, within no time they are like this. Plenty. So one Chinese who comes to your environment, she is connected to 1 million Chinese. And whilst he's digging the gold, his other brothers are sitting at the computer. I am online, I am online, I am online. The other one is in Europe, looking at the European market and then designing it, if it is powder form, if it is, how do you call it, bulk form in how do you call it, the gold, not the gold dust, the gold bar. And they are selling it in my face. Poor farmers.
Outside the police station, I met Francis Aqua. He grows cocoa, one of Ghana's biggest exports. He said he'd arrived at his farm to find that two men had driven a digger onto a field and started to dig for gold.
They have excavated the land, destroying the cocoa farm.
He said he could scarcely believe what had happened.
It was a shock to me, because that is my life. You know, cocoa farming, it's a future. It's my future. They have destroyed my future now. How will I cater for my children and wife? It's a problem now for me.
At Abrodunkwa, we will sit here in Germany and see a Ghanaian farmer who goes to his farm and see a Chinese just digging his cocoa down because he's found gold there. What happens? The Chinese molest the person, he goes to police station, and you, another Ghanaian, had nothing to charge than a minor little bribe from that Chinese. And the day you did that, that was the day you sold the future of your unborn child. And even if your child is born, what about the next generation? Okay? So taking a bribe to let the foreigner invade and take advantage over your fellow Ghanaian is a way of criminally destroying your own future. Yes, we have people taking the pain upon themselves, preaching it in the church.
Go to civilized countries. Certain politicians, people are there because of their merit, not appointed by politicians, and they work and serve well. Look at our security agencies, puppets of the ruling party, ruling government. And so they are not able to open their mouth, even arrest thieves who ride public cars and are fed by the state. People who earn more and better, well salary, and fringe benefits, occupying official houses with chauffeur-driven cars. Benefits come in thousands. They steal the most in the country. Go around the prisons when we go to give communion and pray for them. We are Gupo. We are Ponchi. Some remand for years, and yet those who openly steal and plunder walk our streets.
Building together with the Chinese has no good end. Yet still, a poly of tricks will package it nicely and make it look all flamboyant. For Christ's sake, I am here to preach something to you. Yeah? If you, the Ghanaian police, brutalize your brother on the road, if you, the Nigerian police, brutalize your brother on the road, ever since this COVID thing came, I have been watching African people's attitude. From Tunisia to Nigeria to Ghana to South Africa, people have died outside the COVID, but from brutality. What is your problem? Should you always design a law which will always cause blood? So with today's digitalization, where information gets out quickly within a twinkle of an eye, if you yourself brutalize yourself that way, and you had the Chinese, who is not part of human race, racing himself, discriminating, segregating himself, because the Chinese is so individual that he can't even live within communities, let alone among people. Take time to observe the Chinese. When they move, they only move. They don't talk, they don't smile, they don't say hi, they only move. What mentorship do these people have that you are telling us we should copy from them? How many Ghanaians are not better designers? How many Ghanaians are not better carpenters? Going to buy lights around Domi area, there was this shop with a Chinese picture outside it. And as I dug deeper into the matter, I found out the Chinese is pairing up with one politician from Ghana, and the products are made in Ghana, and you deposit the face of that ugly shit over there to dominate over the Ghanaians. The lady working there was receiving a 350 Ghana cedis as a manager. And all what she could tell me, those people, if you say they don't respect. They are a people who do not respect. What can you do with 350 cedis today? And these people whom we put on the table as buffet for the other person, out of their helplessness, regardless of their qualification, they go to somebody's country just to do what? Look for their destiny. The end result is what you saw in Guangzhou, in China, the last weeks.
Without questions.
Look at everybody outside. Everybody is outside. Look at the Chinese police. They won't allow us to rest. They chased us away from our house. We don't have anywhere to live. They are pursuing us. Why?
This passport belongs to the federal government of Nigeria. In line with international practice, no any country have the right to seize the international passport of another country. Why are they seizing Nigerian passport? It does not belong to the China.
They collected all our passports. Look at them. They collected all our passports.
We don't know where they are taking us to. We have been in quarantine for 14 days now. We don't know where they are taking us to.
They cannot give us house. They cannot give us hotel. They cannot provide a place we can stay.
They are not a criminal. They are not anything. Why are you harassing them?
I was waiting for men to come out with authority and dignity. Anyway, kudos, Nigeria, you did it. What are the Ghanaian men? Didn't you sign the contract with them? So if you had asked your child to come and play with somebody in your home, and when the other child came, you gave him everything, made him satisfied. And when your child went there to play, they brutalized him. And you don't have that emotions as a mother, as a father, to follow that child there and tell him, go and show me that idiot. I will massacre him in your face. Even if it's a warning, do so that the person will learn a lesson out of it. Can't you see that the Chinese are testing your pulse? They steal a little here, they kill a little here, they brutalize a little here, they are residing a little there, and then there will be a big ocean surround your country and take it away. Of course, it's already happening in some African countries. You, the Ghanaian police, the only way for you to establish a future for yourself is to stop brutalizing the Ghanaian. You are in that uniform to protect your people. You are in that uniform just to cause peace to prevail. Avoid those brutalities which gets to the today's media world, which demean the African and portray a picture as if the African can never understand anything unless he's brutalized. Charity begins at home. Let us unite and let us supply the mineral resources. Let us supply everything we have to ourselves and trust ourselves and believe in ourselves that we can make it, that we had been the Africans who had designed pyramids mathematically when the world was not born. It's time. Apply that wisdom. Just as we are talking of the lockdown, I will take this opportunity to tell you something small about the lockdown. when you talk of lockdown, a country like Ghana, all you need to do is arrange for the articulators to bring the food from the north. It's 2 people who are driving. So what has this coronavirus got to do there? And when they come to allocate themselves, let's assume, dummy market or new plant station, the next thing you do is to arrange the taxi drivers and the trotro drivers zone to zone. One market woman could package all the things, rent that taxi. If it is only 10 cedis or 20 cedis, you have the parcel, the woman is sitting in the car, you just roll the glass a little, you supply the product, and then you take your money. The police is standing meters away, observing that the people go at a certain interval. The Ministry of Information is there, so you have given the information. At a 5-meter interval, you go to pick your food. Would this result in any brutality? Why should we have the food stuff stuck in the villages as we starve on the roads, and to go and get a dish of 3 slices of yam with a little portion of rice? You will also be brutalized. I think many of the situations you put yourself in, it is just because you don't take time to think. No, you don't. Relax your mind and take a little time to think. But what I really want to do with you is get the woman on board. The very women who sit on the market, the very women who go to the farm, the very women had been the market woman before you changed the word and made it what? Entrepreneurship. Break down the language and leave it to yourself. You will find a Sankofa. So, if the Ghanaian woman has been able to design the plantain chips, then look for the market abroad here. With this, you don't need Alibaba. You need 1 student from any Ghanaian university. Okay? So, the era we've gotten to, what the global development is asking you to do is sit down, the everyday things you've been doing, let it be packaged to suit the world out there and add value to your own life, in your own environment, by consuming you in terms of food, in terms of clothes, in terms of shelter, in terms of engineering. You have it. So if you had the women on board, they are going to teach those young girls at the university who are documented in professions, but practically, sometimes I come to Ghana and ask myself, so what is the difference between a university graduate with entrepreneurship ability and the girl who is running behind the cars to sell his plantain chips and tiger nuts or whatever on the road? The difference is the simple lady gets up and go and sell her things and make money. She sees money. But this graduate is complicated with documents. She has no financial support. She has no economic support. And so she's an entrepreneur, but has no job. How could this be? Within the short period when the globalization started, look at the number of shopping malls in flamboyant colors. I passed by Community 18 in Tema, and I shuddered at what the Chinese are putting up there. Within no time, you have only Chinese people in that area. Wow. And Ghanaians, you march there to go and buy. So they put it at McDonald's. Black people are not allowed here. If you go to eat Chinese, if you go to shop Chinese, if you go to buy Chinese, and you finish and you go to church to pray, God will not bless you because you are your own capital. So as you consume yourself, as you consume your environment, as you innovate your environment, as you create your environment, that alone will make you a global participant. That alone will make you successful. That alone will make you realize your dreams, because the God that you are going to ask to give you jobs, when he got up, he looked for opportunities, and wherever he said, he saw that it was empty. He said, let it be. Why should you sit in Ghana and be jobless? Go to the farm. Do you need a certificate to weed? If we have to readjust the weeding system and everything, come to us, the woman. We will teach you. Yes, we will. Queen mothers, a people who ruled nations. Queen mothers of Africa have bravely fought to kill oppressors. We will not forget our Yasantua from Ghana. So, what Yasantua did is still in us as mothers. It is time that you involve us, queen mothers, in your political decision making. It was so saddening to read. Queen mothers should stop promiscuity around what? The youth. It was so saddening for me to hear during my holidays in Ghana. Oh my God, I was damn mad at that. Legon students, they have become sex workers. Who dare you, a failure, to call somebody's daughter a sex worker? Do you know what it took for the girl to go and stand there? She is facing certain challenges. Did you call her to yourself and say, hey, mommy, brah, let me talk to you? Because she's not your daughter, you named her sex workers. Great! Because you named Ghanaian girl sex workers, the French scientist, doctor, sit on the media and refer to you to become the victim of COVID vaccination. The price you give to yourself, the measure you measure others, the same thing will be measured against you. They went further to explain that Africans are the ones who go to, who does prostitution without protection. Why not? Why not? Many a time, I feel like crying when Nigerian ladies come for consultation and, mommy, I want to take in. They want to be pregnant, and the sad part of the story is, before you get into their history, everything is hopeless. But it took some mothers to go and deceive those young men. 11,000 of them were parading on the shores of Italy the last time when I read the news. Because it's so heart-aching, I have stopped reading them. Recently, Spain caught the Nigerian mafias who had been escorting those girls. And I asked myself, what will go on in the womb of a mother? What will go on in the mind of an adult man to go and take that young, innocent African girl? How much money do you want in life? In my next program, I'm going to discuss with you the possible doors available for us all in the global development. Together we are strong. Each one of them who is coming in a group as Europe, in a group as America, in a group as China, yes, together they are strong. It is time we come together, otherwise we will be diminished. Yes, because the oppressors are too many. Indeed, if you will give me the opportunity to tell you the exact situation going on the African continent, it is a war between three groups. Europe and America is one, against China. The only one who is not got the message is the African. And it is time you make ears for some of us living here as diaspora, African activist as I am. I name myself Mama Africa, not as any bluff, but I use that name to educate you. You, that human being, I want to educate you. It took that mother to nurse you, America. It took that mother to heal your wounds, Africa, Europe. It took that mother that the hungry Chinese is coming to feed on. And you come to take it all. When you finish, you will spit on that mother, brutalize her children, abuse her. This mother Africa is crying. So I take myself, an individual human being, as Africa. Africa one. Only one Africa. Without, we have no industry. Not even manpower resources. It is time you value yourself as an African. It is time you regain your identity and dignity. It is time you stand tall and confident and tell that person, not with me. Thank you.